just trying to change the world here, people.
Oh, really?
The Facebooking and the tweeting and the Instagramming, all that would not exist without our understanding of science.
It's amazing how you do that as an insult. You mean true for you is different from true for anybody else?
Yeah, absolutely, because I can't
Something's
prove
either got to be true or not.
I can't, no.
Well, it's that time again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ORly Radio, show 57 for Friday, May 8th, 2015. And this is the show where we dismantle the current events for your edutainment through mostly rational conversations and rants that make you go, oh, really? I'm your host, Andy Cowen, and I'm joined by my usual suspects. We've got David and we've got Jessica. Say hi.
Hey.
Excellent.
Oh,
We do not have any errata from last week. Apparently, we did a good job.
Hooray.
At least
Yes.
nobody actually said anything. So we'll take that for whatever it's worth.
because awesome.
However, if you do find mistakes in what we say this evening or in any of our previous episodes, feel free. In fact, feel urged on, cheered on, if you will, from the sidelines to go.
We're not ashamed.
To go out and send us an email at orlyradiopodcast@gmail.com. Or, you know what? We do have a voice line. You can call it in. 470-222-6759. That's ORly if you have one of those rotary dial phones and just like to watch it go. All right. Now, here we are in America. We're a American-centric podcast, and well, from
It's pronounced Merica.
Merica. We're
Merica.
Merica-centered. However, we are not. We try not to be very nationalistic on this show because we think that's dumb.
That's why.
Yeah. What? It angers me. I don't get angry about many things, but really nationalism in and of itself is one of those things that I don't see any lines from space. We have photographs. There are no lines dividing the states and the counties and the cities and the countries.
Not naturally, no.
We're one world here, and all of these are just made up artifices that are just really in the way. And hoorah, yay, yay, yay for our country, and ooh, for your country over there. Big freaking deal. It doesn't make any difference. It's bad. It's bad for everybody, and we shouldn't be as divisive as we are. There are other things that of course, divide us. Language, for one. Language divides us.
Very much so.
Here in America, we speak American English,
Yeah.
and that was good enough for the King James version of the Bible. So,
If I might
Yes,
say,
because here in
language
America, we-
literally divides us.
it surely is. So much so that, thanks in part to its overuse, the word literally now means both literal and not literal.
Mhm.
We have systematically gone through and destroyed our own language by overusing words. And this, if you've read back to several of my Topic Tuesday posts and things like that, which are also available out on the website under blogs, you'll find out quickly that I don't like things that overuse words. Words have meanings, and we need to stick with those meanings if we want to be understood, because it is the foundation upon which conversations are built. To have a common language kind of helps in that. So when I say, let's take math. Math is probably the most common language that we have. In fact, we hope that's a universal language. So 2 + 2 should equal 4, no matter what language you speak in the rest of your life.
As long as everyone's using Arabic numbers.
Well, even if it's polynomials of whatever type you like, you know, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
these 2 things over here and these 2 things over here make 4 things over there, if moved properly. You know, that kind of thing. So we really need to do something about that. I've got a link out there. Merriam-Webster has actually said now that the word literally can also mean its exact opposite, effectively making the word literally no longer useful in my vernacular. Congratulations.
Here's my one argument, though. Inflammable means both it can't catch on fire and is incredibly sensitive to catching on fire.
No, that's flammable.
Still.
Flammable means that it can catch on fire. It is only through people misusing the word again that inflammable means that it can be caught on fire when it means that it can't. That's language. It's important, and please support your local teachers and get your kids educated. Check their work, please. And if you question yourself, there are dictionaries. You should own. There should be a book in your house, at least one book.
Do I have one?
You should have a dictionary. I don't
the
care if it's propping up a coffee table. There should be a dictionary in your house somewhere. It just needs to happen. Now, because of these things that we don't understand, language barriers and things like that, a recent study has found that people of belief, we'll call them theists, because they follow a theology. That works. These are words, again, that I'm using here. They have an irrational fear of those that do not believe. Ergo, atheists. The atheist, the a being the absence thereof, the antithesis. So apparently it's because our very presence, a non-believer's presence in another believer's presence, challenges their fundamental defense mechanisms versus death.
So
because we don't
isn't that
believe
their
in
problem, not ours?
It is, but it is also our problem in that we have to deal with these people.
Yes.
Now, the only reason that all of that comes into play is because the theology has told them that if you do not believe, you're going to a bad place where you're going to be tormented forever. Call it hell, call it whatever you want to call it. It's in the book and not very well described.
You're going to eternal damnation. Let's put it that way.
Eternal damnation. Now, this, of course, is the old school methodology of the carrot and the stick. The carrot being heaven, where you're going to basically have the opposite of eternal torment, etc. And then the stick would be hell.
Boo.
Hellfire, damnation, brimstone, shaving all of your skin off and then having it grow back just to do it again. It's in there. Go ahead. Anyway. So perhaps a conversation needs to happen with that. I don't know how even to broach that with most people, but for those of you out there that do not believe in eternal damnation or anything eternal, except perhaps the universe, and not even that. If that is your mindset, just be aware that the people that you're dealing with take these things very literally. And it is, if
there's that word.
Well, yes.
Is that our Pee-wee word for the day?
Drink. Drink. That kind of
Ziggy-zaggy?
Ziggy-zaggy. Oi, oi, oi.
In case anyone's curious, this is blackberry ginger ale. Go get some at your local grocer.
Oh,
get some.
Does sound delicious. Okay. So imagine, if you will, that coffee table that the Merriam-Webster dictionary is propping up that one leg of. Okay. We'll give a little call back to that coffee table.
That's a messed up coffee table.
It is a messed up coffee table. It's so messed up that one of those legs actually symbolizes hell. Okay? Take that leg away, and there you have the theist wobbling around on only 3 legs, completely unstable and not knowing what to do.
So even Judaism.
There's other things in Judaism. I wasn't saying specifically a Christian. I was not picking on the Christians this time. I'm merely picking on anyone that believes in hell. And that can be a larger swath of the listener base.
If you believe that there are actions that you take in life which ring eternal, I'm not going to say that that's untrue, because what you do leaves a wake, insofar as affecting the people around you, should there be any.
Right, ripples through the pond.
that ripples through the pond, the social pond. But if you believe that the fantastical pond also ripples with what you do, the existence of someone who is just as deeply convinced that such a thing does not exist is painful. It's a blight upon your world.
Yeah, and that's the gist of it. We just need to be cognizant of that fact that these little beliefs that people have make up a great deal of their own personality.
Mm-hmm.
And to challenge that belief, though we're only challenging the belief, the institution thereof, we're not challenging the person.
No.
To them, we are challenging the person, and there's no getting around that. So if you are challenging the belief, you are challenging the person on their own fundamental way. So just be aware of that and be ready to just keep going through and have the conversation because it's good for them. Anyway, and things that are not good, not good at all in any way, shape, or form, is how those beliefs can cause you to do certain extreme actions, certain extreme, ludicrous actions. A woman in Nebraska has filed a 7-page lawsuit naming homosexuals as the defendants and God and his son, Jesus Christ, as the plaintiffs. Yeah, so she wanted to sue all the gays, all of them, on behalf of the Father and the Son. No, the Holy Spirit was not listed, so I'm assuming that.
I'm sorry. I just to throw a descriptor out there. I was reading through this article.
Yes.
Joe Jervis labeled it batshittery.
Thank you for the quote. Yeah. Now, don't worry too much about it because it's okay. The judge threw it out. Thankfully.
Yeah, you have there has to be some sort of
you have to
reasonable.
It goes with standing. You have to have standing to bring the lawsuit, and since neither God nor his son Jesus Christ could actually come and show up, they can't be listed as plaintiffs.
Although I must say, this woman has impeccable handwriting.
Yeah. Well,
it's impressive. Yeah, it's impressive that she wrote this by hand.
And you can find that link out there in our show notes as well.
It is something special, guys.
Now, this is indicative of a larger problem. 57% of Americans, of Republicans, I should say, Republican Americans, say that they should dismantle the Constitution and make Christianity a national religion.
No. How about no?
Yeah, how about no?
But this is isn't this the same group that like torch and pitchforks about the Constitution not being upheld?
It could.
Oh yeah,
it could be. Yeah.
In all likelihood, it is.
Well, remember, this is also the same group that wants their shrimp cocktail and to have, mixed poly wool cotton blends, but still says that gays are bad because it's all in the same
and football,
the same book. Yeah,
and this is also probably the same group of birth certificate.
Oh, the birthers, yes,
and Benghazi.
Yeah, obviously these studies. This was from public policy polling, and it was conducted between February 20th and February 22nd. So not a very big window of Republican voters, and they found that 57% want to dismantle the Constitution.
Did they say how many people actually voted, like in this little poll?
Let's scroll through. I'm not seeing those numbers. I'm only seeing percentages, which is always dubious. But I'm not surprised by these percentages, and that is perhaps more troubling than the poll itself, is that I'm not surprised by this.
Yeah.
Surveyed 316 Republican primary voters.
Oh, okay.
That's a little teeny tiny pool.
There's a teeny tiny poll.
However, many of these polls and entire statistics are made up with even smaller numbers.
Yeah.
So it's
This is better polling than Fox.
Yeah, or they just walk outside. And
They don't even do that. They put it on the internet. And their echo
viewers.
chamber Fox viewers go on their thing and click the polling thing that they literally just got finished listening to a news report guiding them as to how to fill out the form.
While a number of red states have passed statutes forbidding the implementation of Islam-based Sharia law in their states, Republicans apparently have no misgivings about turning the United States into a Christian theocracy. The poll's crosstabs revealed that support for making Christianity the official religion is strongest among Mike Huckabee, Kerry, and Ben Carson supporters.
No kidding.
Those just happen to be some of the presidential hopefuls out there. So there. This is scary stuff. I urge everyone to read the Constitution. It's really not that long of a read. Come on. How many of you out there have read 50 Shades of Grey? Okay. Yep. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Go ahead and just pick up the Constitution. It is a little wordy. It's a little verbose, and it is a little antiquated, but that's okay. You can do it. I have faith in you. Okay. That's really all I had to say about that. We need more rationality in the United States, because these are not rational people that are making these decisions. They are literally the least rational people I can think of.
No.
Okay.
Figuratively.
Oh no! Don't destroy figuratively too.
My mind is blown.
Okay. Well, in weird, it wasn't just another day at the beach down here in Florida, and a couple is facing up to 15 years in prison after being found guilty Monday of having sex on a Florida beach, according to court records. This is
fucking stupid.
This is from the excellent reporting, and I'm not actually even being hyper-realistic about that, over at BuzzFeed.com. They've gotten a lot better over the years. A couple is facing 15 years. Let's see. Jose Caballero, 40, and Alyssa Alvarez, 20. Oh, big age difference there. They were arrested on July 20th, 2014, for having sex on Bradenton Beach, a Gulf of Mexico beach, about 45 minutes south of Tampa, in front of other beachgoers, including children. Well, there's your problem. The pair denied having intercourse, arguing instead that Alvarez had been dancing on top of Caballero to wake him up. Assistant State Attorney Anthony DeFasca told BuzzFeed. Yeah, that's definitely going to wake him up, I'm sure.
There's video.
of the dancing?
I don't know. Well, yes. I don't know if it's on the internet per se, but a grandmother whipped out her camera phone and videoed them in the act. So they're kind of screwed, but this is one of those things. There are child molesters who spend less time in jail.
It's true.
There are child molesters that spend no time in jail.
Yeah.
None at all.
So this we need like a review of our punishment system.
This was a second-degree felony charge of lewd and lascivious exhibition in front of a minor. But
see, they even state in this that they're basically pursuing it the way it is to make an example of them.
To quote, "We're dealing with basically tourists," DeFasca said. They're here on the beaches of Manatee County, our public beaches, so you want to make sure that this isn't something that just goes by the wayside, and that it is well known to the community what will be tolerated and what won't be.
Except this is going to be completely ineffectual, because the tourists aren't going to get this memo. This is going to be local news.
Exactly. According to court records, a sentencing hearing has yet to be set, but the charges carry a maximum of 15 years in prison. The office is considering asking the court to impose the full sentence on Caballero, who had previously served jail time for trafficking cocaine, according to public record.
Because those are totally the same.
Right. So they want him to take 15 years, and they're looking for 3 years for no. Okay, they're trying to downplay his sentence to 3 years, and nothing longer than 60 days for Miss Alvarez. But still, they are full on seeking jail time for two people having an awfully good time on the beach in Florida. They could
hit them with a fine and let them go.
They should have.
I mean, like a week of jail time, like that would be. I would be satisfied with that if I was like, they need to go to jail for like a week.
I would just say time served with community service.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, just make them go clean up the beaches. How about that?
I think that's reasonable.
Because they've already spent some time in
You
jail.
did make it dirty, so go
Oh,
clean
you
it
made it. Oh, you made it. It is time to go clean that beach, young man. 30 years old, young man. Cocaine man. Cocaine, young man, cocaine. Anyway. Yes. So, well, with that, at this point, I would have a spot for a public service announcement. And I'm currently waiting on a public service announcement to come in from our good friends over at GSOW, the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project, where they go through and they basically, they do the good work of editing Wikipedia articles from a skeptical point of view. So they are not skewed one way or the other. They're taking scientists. They did Neil deGrasse Tyson's blog. They've translated into multiple languages so that, and they did that right before Cosmos aired.
Yay.
So that way, when people went out and were going to figure out who is this astrophysicist guy that is now taking the place of Carl Sagan in our eyes, that way they would actually have real, solid information that is cited, sourced, and vetted.
Good.
That is what they do. And they're wonderful people for it. Obviously, it's a hobbyist community. They're not getting paid for it. This is all volunteer work. So I am more than happy to give them a public service announcement. And you can check out. I will put a link down in the links so that you can go and see their work. Possibly, you also have a penchant for going out there and editing Wikipedia. Perhaps you do. More power to you. Please go do it. And you can follow the links for the GSOW project on. And hopefully we'll have an actual promo and they will become a staple. Now then, the good. Oh wait, I'm supposed to have. Where is it? There it is. That's much better. Okay. Hey, the courts have finally ruled that the NSA bulk data collection was never authorized by Congress and is illegal.
Hooray!
Dun, dun, dun.
So what does that mean, Andy?
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
Because they've already got it. They're not going to delete it. Let's see. This was out on Wired.com. Of course, it's everywhere because it made big news for all of us techie folks out there. As Americans wait for Congress to decide next month whether to renew the Patriot Act and the vast NSA metadata surveillance program, it's made possible. A panel of 3 appellate judges has made the decision on its own. The Patriot Act, they've now ruled, was never written to authorize the sort of sweeping surveillance the NSA interpreted it to allow. Whether or not the Patriot Act is then rewritten subtly, which I don't think it's going to be. I think they're just going to vote whether or not to keep it. But even if they do keep it, then the NSA is not going to be able to continue its data mining project in the same way. At least not legally. Has that ever stopped them before?
Has that ever stopped anyone before?
Well, they are a 3-letter government agency. 3-letter government agencies do tend to have their own set of rules that they follow, whether they're written down or not. Let's see here. Despite its reluctance to rule the NSA's metadata program unconstitutional, the ruling seems to recognize the invasive potential of a system that monitors who calls whom rather than the content of those calls. Quote, that telephone metadata do not directly reveal the content of telephone calls does not vitiate the privacy concerns arising out of the government's bulk collection of such data. Vitiate?
I was like, that was certainly a word.
I'm not even sure what that word is. Hey Google, what's that? Oh, spoil or impair the quality of or efficiency. Okay, I have now learned something. Very good. So with that, basically the whole deal here is that every phone call, everything that you do on the internet, including telephone calls, because everything is routed through the internet now, one way or another, they all carry with it packets of data at the front and the back that tell what the data is, where it came from, what time it was originated, where it's going, and the time it ended, and also the size of the packets, various routes that it took all the way through. You know, that is metadata. If you take a picture with your cell phone, there is metadata that is embedded into every one of those JPEGs. It says the size of the picture. It says what camera took it. It says, you know, your f-stops, all the interesting details about the camera. And if you happen to have a cell phone that you're taking that picture with, it probably is tagging it with geolocation data as well. So, okay, I'm not going to show you my picture. However, that doesn't mean that you can't see the metadata. Now you know where I took it, what time I took it, you know, the exact position of where I took it, what I took it with, all these other things. And there might be some serial numbers in there too. So metadata is important because it gives you all the little breadcrumbs to put the rest of the picture together. So if you can get a wiretap on somebody, then you've got the content. But with the way the NSA's bulk data collection program works, was they were collecting the metadata too, anything that was available. And with that metadata, with the big data crunching that you can do, they could figure out an awful lot of information. They don't need to see what's inside it, basically is what it came down to. That's just like the nail in the coffin, actually having the contents of it. To be able to just see what it's about, that was very powerful. And it will remain to be very powerful. But the problem is that nobody understands the amount of litter that your actions on the internet do. You know, all the little breadcrumbs, the cookies, every time that you're making a request to a web page, there are so many artifacts that come up that are being downloaded to your computer. And in order to download to your computer, they have to be requested from another server. And then you've got cross sites, and there's so many different sites. If you use a plugin called Ghostery, for instance, for Firefox or Chrome, it will go through and tell you all of the things, all of the little details that are being loaded on one page. I had one, I stopped using it because it just became gut-wrenching to continue to use it. I had one page that had over 215 different artifacts and scripts running just to load the page. And
I even want to know what that was.
It was mostly advertising.
But I mean, like, what page this particularly happened on?
Yeah, a clickbait site.
Oh, okay.
You know, the ones that we always go to because we have the headline that we want to see what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, you'll never guess what happened next. Yeah, it is one of those where then you have, and then you have multiple pages of that because they split up the article into about 10 different pages that you then have to go through in slides or something.
Yeah.
And they do that so that those advertisers get seen more. It's all about then refreshing the ad image on the page. Every time you click next, then you're being shown a new impression. You're also staying on the website longer in that way. Yeah. So it's all about just Jewing their numbers, basically. No offense to the Jews. Seriously. At all. You are my favorite accountants.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, hopefully we actually see something happen from all of this. Okay, now it's been ruled unconstitutional. Now what? Now you have a reason not to vote to re-enable the Patriot Act as is, because it's being abused, and you have evidence that's being abused.
Well, they towed the line. They refused to rule on the constitutionality of the mass data collection. What they did say was the Patriot Act did not include the language that had been claimed previously, which allowed for the mass collection of the metadata. So if that program is to continue, they have to add language allowing for that program to continue. And then they can tackle the constitutionality of it.
I don't think they're going to change the language of it, because that would involve work.
I think they will just be able to keep doing what they're doing. I mean,
all they need is Alec to write the law. They don't even write their own laws anymore. They've got Alec for that.
Yeah.
They just say, hey, we need a law that basically does this. And those guys write it and say, here, pass this legislation around. And then they send it to all the states that are GOP controlled. And all of a sudden, you've got the same anti-gay law everywhere.
Yeah, as a reminder to our listeners, the ALEC, which is not a Baldwin brother, it is the American Legislative Exchange Council. And they're, quote, a nonprofit organization of conservative state legislators and private sector representatives that draft and share model state-level legislation. So basically, they write laws that are very tailored for specific purposes in mind. And you'd be shocked and amazed and appalled and on a drinking binge if you actually knew how many laws were all written by Alec and then just pushed through.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the common decency to change the name.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they made such boilerplate, like insert state name here. I think I actually saw that in there. Like state.
Wow.
I state your name. I state your name.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, it's sloppy. It's really sloppy. I mean, if you're going to lie and cheat to us, at least be creative.
They don't have to.
I know they don't.
The mainstream media doesn't, provide any accountability to Alec's actions whatsoever. Fox, I thought you'd be all over that, but
well, that would hurt their constituents in some way. Okay, on to happier news. Even more happy than because obviously the NSA, that's a good news, bad news kind of thing. But hey, Jess, you found this story.
I did.
Who's the smarty pants out there?
There is a 10-year-old. Oh gosh, what is her? She's a British Nigerian. Esther. Her name is Esther. Esther O'Cade. I think that's a pretty boss name.
It is a good name, yeah.
She is a British Nigerian 10-year-old.
Oh, she's so cute.
She is adorable, and she is a literal genius. She is a 10-year-old that is going to college to major in math.
I want to finish the course in 2 years. Then I'm going to do my PhD in financial maths when I'm 13. I want to have my own bank by the time I'm 15 because I like numbers and I like people, and banking is a great way to help people.
Not only is she super smart and super adorable and super sweet, but the entire family, it's an entire basically philanthropic family. She wants to develop a series of math workbooks for kids called Yummy Yummy Algebra.
Wow.
Yeah. And her parents are also trying to create their own educational journey back to Nigeria. They set up a foundation to building nursery and primary schools in Nigeria's Delta region where they're from, called Shakespeare's Academy. So a whole lot of awesome and a whole lot of smart is going on with that family and hopefully in that region.
I dare say that they will change the world. Let's see.
If you want to change the world, banking's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to just, continue to quote her, okay? Because it's adorable. Okay. Quote, "It's so interesting. It has the type of maths I love. It's real maths." Now, remember, of course, it's Britain, so it's maths,
Yes.
plurals. So not us American English over here.
Okay.
Okay, it's real maths. Theories, complex numbers, all that types of stuff. She giggles. "It was super easy." My mom taught me in a nice way. Oh, wow.
Just
I actually wanted to start when I was 7, but my mom was like, "You're too young. Calm down." After 3 years of begging, her mother finally let her work on getting into university. Wow.
It's
a special kind.
Workbooks. It starts at a beginner level. That's volume 1. Then there will be volume 2, volume 3, and then volume 4. She's only written the first one. As long as you can add or subtract, you'll be able to do it. I want to show other children that they are special. Could this little child be any more flawless? I don't think so.
I don't know. Well, she wins the internet today.
She does. It makes me happy.
Oh, too. Wow. Okay, so yeah, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, and
it makes me happy.
Absolutely. And there's another happy thing here. Happy Hippie.
There is.
Cyrus starts an LGBT charity called Happy Hippie.
Miley, as crazy as she is, but you know what? She's making a lot of money doing those crazy things. But you know, she's doing that money. She started Happy Hippie, and she's actually already started. Her goal was to mainly help LGBT homeless youth. That was her main goal. I think she's already contributed a few $100,000 to other organizations that already do that. But her goal is basically buy up properties under her umbrella and make them shelters for these young people.
Oh dear, she's only 22. I feel terribly old now.
But you know what? Miley may be just a little cray. But you know what? I support her in her cray. Because she is using her cray for good. It's like, I don't have to like her music or her performances, but I can give props to Miley as a person.
I like her earlier stuff. But yeah, it's amazing what she's doing.
And on top of that, she actually personally came out as, well, she didn't put a label to it, but a lot of people are saying she came out as genderqueer. So basically she doesn't fall within the traditional gender binary. And she has admitted, I for lack of a better word, that not all of her relationships have been heterosexual. And it's just
yeah, that doesn't this does not surprise me.
Yeah.
In any way. Honestly, the sexuality and gender specificities. Anyway.
Specificity?
See, it doesn't even sound right when you say it. Anyway.
Specificity.
Yeah, it's still wrong.
It does not roll off. Specificity does not roll off the tongue.
It doesn't.
It does. It just really doesn't.
Doesn't. Anyway, Hollywood's gender conundrums, especially with the Bruce Jenner issue. Which, by the way, yes, Bruce Jenner is now labeling himself as transgender, but has not opted to change his personal pronoun.
Or name yet.
Not yet. Yeah. So...
He said he would, but it's all right for now.
Right. Also still a Republican, which is interesting. I don't know. If out of all of that, it's like, okay, yeah, you can label yourself whatever you want. That's fine. You want to grow your hair out. You want to go through the process. Awesome. Go ahead. But you're doing all that and you still think that you actually fit within the Republican Party? That is what blows my mind. I mention Jenner because Miley actually indicates that that he is one of her heroes for being out like that.
Yeah.
So, It's in the article, and you can find that in our show notes at ORlyRadio.com.
But yay for Miley.
Indeed.
Being awesome.
Fantastic. I love anybody that is using their awesome powers of wealth, prestige for the powers of good.
Yeah.
We need more of that. We need a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it's time to move into the bad. And in true fitting fashion with a spaghetti western intro like that, we're going actually over to Texas. Texas Republicans denounce pre-K as a godless environment.
They're 4. They're 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah, and they're godless little heathens.
That's right, apparently. Now, amazingly, this was not out on the Raw story or anything. This is actually out on MSNBC, which I suppose is just as godless. I lose the ability to speak after I hear anything that involves children and what they're not allowed to do to them. It hurts my head because I have little children. In fact, my youngest is moving from pre-K into K, over the summer here. So I look and it's like, wait a second, what's wrong with pre-K? How is that a godless environment? And how is that bad? Aren't all public schools supposed to be godless?
It starts off with
secular.
It starts off with the religious belief that you cannot have any grounding in morals or ethics without God.
You get your morals and ethics taught to you every day by your parents and how you treat other people on the playground. As far as the school itself, they need to teach you how to read, how to write, how to count, how to add and subtract, and how to not be a dick in public.
Man, it's as if you teach your children to take responsibility for themselves.
Don't
Crazy.
be a peckerhead. Don't be a peckerhead.
Pretty much. Stop raising little assholes. That's my advice to parents out there. Stop raising little entitled assholes. Okay, so we'll just read on here. When congressional Republicans ignored President Obama's call for a universal pre-K, it wasn't too big a surprise. GOP lawmakers on Capitol Hill have a variety of policy priorities, most of which focus on slashing public investments, not increasing them. The public seemed to like the White House's idea, but it was quickly forgotten inside the Beltway in the face of Republican indifference. Now, yes, this is a left-leaning webpage, and it's a left-leaning article. However, all of that is true. I just wanted to point that out to any listener out there. Mm-hmm. These things have happened. They're a matter of public record. Calling a spade is okay, At the state level, however, some policymakers, including many on the right, nevertheless take the issue at least somewhat seriously. Even in Texas, one of the reddest of the red states, which is debatable actually at this point. I think they're kind of getting black and blue at this point. Governor Greg Abbott has made this a priority, telling lawmakers in Austin in February, we must improve early education. What? You want more pre-K? You want more of this?
No, they want more vouchers so that taxpayer funding can go towards religious education.
Yeah, Texas AP reported advisors to Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick described a major bipartisan pre-K initiative as socialist and keeping children in a godless environment in a letter sent to lawmakers Tuesday. The letter was a rebuke over a preschool push being led by Republican Governor Greg Abbott, whose office responded by defending its plan while not addressing the criticism. It was written by a, quote, grassroots advisory, end quote, board of conservative activists that Patrick, a Tea Party leader, assembled upon taking office in January. So it's interesting that the lieutenant governor and the actual governor are not seeing eye to eye on this. So you have a Republican and you have a tea party. And they don't get along anymore.
You should mind if I read the
Carry on, sir. Carry on.
So the Tea Party, in voicing their displeasure, writes, "We are experimenting at great cost to taxpayers with a program that removes our young children from homes and half-day religious preschools and Mother's Day out programs to a godless environment with only evidence showing absolutely no long-term benefits beyond the first grade."
Oh, by the way, no long-term benefits is in big letters. He all capped it.
Caps.
Mm-hmm. No long-term benefits beyond first grade.
Well, how many benefits are they supposed to get out of pre-K?
What?
Learning to not pee your pants. I'm pretty sure that's put your toadies away. What?
Oh, kids never.
It's daycare, essentially. This is state-funded daycare that's going to improve the lives of many, many people who can't freaking afford daycare because
a lot of people work to afford daycare. Like, their wage pays daycare, and that's it.
I knew people making six figures who couldn't afford daycare.
Yeah, it is possible. Of course, that I would say that in that case, they need to reevaluate some things if they can't afford daycare on six figures.
It was where they lived.
Well, yeah, but also they may have been looking in the wrong places to find that daycare. There's always yet another alternative, and they may have had their sights set on something that was unattainable.
Anyway.
Unobtainium?
Unobtainium, yes. Now,
is that obtainable?
Of course not. Now, it's literally unobtainable.
You can only attain it. You can only attain it by not trying to attain it.
Attain or obtain?
Is that like
obtain.
An island that cannot be found except by those who already know where it is?
I'm finding language.
It can only be found by those who aren't looking for it.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Now, given that I do have a pre-K-er, I know that there are lessons involved. Yeah. So it is not just the regular environment. They actually go into an entire different classroom and they are learning things that the rest of the kids are not. So it is educational. In fact, this particular pre-K that I'm sending my kids to, they work with the closest school and they adapt their program to fit to better transition into kindergarten.
Man, it's as if that's what pre-K is for.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's what it's supposed to do. It's gearing them up from an environment where it was nothing but play and naps and snacks to a more structured environment so that they can then be better at school and life. Yeah. Have you ever tried to learn a language when you're an adult?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of hard, isn't it?
Currently trying to do.
Young kids, not so much of a problem.
Sponge. My 2-year-old nephew can count to 13 in Spanish. He's
excellent. That's fantastic. Dora the Explorer for the win. So, I don't understand where he's coming up with the numbers for and even having the balls to put down in all caps, no long-term benefits beyond first grade, because that is ludicrous.
I just want to know what he qualifies as no long-term benefits.
I
need to know the qualification for this, or the quantification. Either one is good.
I would say perhaps that it would result in a lower church attendance.
Less tithing?
Well, we have seen dramatic shifts in church attendance and belief as we go on. The older generations are the ones that are still very into religion. The younger generations are more and more, quote, godless.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, year over year, every college graduating class is less religious.
Well, it's not even that they're godless. Like, more and more of my friends are identifying as religious or Christian or whatever. They just don't go to church. That's the problem that they're having. They're more concerned with a personal relationship rather than a relationship with a building.
Right. They're going the spiritual route,
which is
the
fine.
religious route. Well, it's fine for pretty much the entire society, but for those that are trying to
make a living off of
on
pushing the word
control and all that, it's concerning because it's changing their power base, because they're losing their power base because of that.
Once they get power, it's amazing what people will do to keep it.
Yeah, we are not the only ones that have commented that the Fox generation of demographic viewers is aging to death.
Yeah.
So
that's my parents.
There you go. On these microphones that are talking into your ear holes right now, we're not the only ones that say that. I've heard it just pop up, even from right wingers, that the base is aging. We're not getting more people in the conservative camps. Now that, of course, the pendulum shall swing.
It always does.
We're in an interesting time when the pendulum should have already started to swing back, and then we got the Tea Party. And then they threw lassos around it and have tied it up so that they can't move. They're trying to be as so super right as they can, that they're trying to tow the pendulum even further than it would go any other time.
Yeah. And they're utterly destroying the Republican Party in the process. And I've made this prediction a couple times, and I'm going to keep on pushing it out there because I firmly believe that it's true. In the next 20 years, we're going to see the Republican Party schism, and it will effectively be the end of their ability to have a president that is right-leaning.
It's quite possible. I mean, they don't really speak to the base of Americans anymore. The only reason that they can get seats is because of the gerrymandering to make sure that they keep that base.
Yeah, but even that is not immune from the Tea Party. It's immune from left-leaning people.
That's true.
But it is not immune from their base splitting off into sections and saying, you must either be ultra right-wing or right-leaning. And the right-leaning will basically, what's happened for right now is the right-leaning camp is trying to be as right as the Tea Party camp so that they can get those people on board to join them in their quest. But the Tea Party camp is so, to steal the term, they're so batshittery. They can't get the moderates, and most of America is moderate. It's just the way it is. They're socially liberal and they're fiscally conservative, and they end up somewhere in the middle.
And generally apathetic about most issues.
General apathy,
yes. Salute. So.
Now I have a question though, and this may be just something we're missing about Texas. Does Texas require all children, no matter if they are homeschooled or what, to go through public pre-K?
No. That seems to be the direction that the governor was trying to push it. But with the way that the legislature has been working, there's a tremendous push for voucher schools. So here's where it gets really disturbing if you actually pay attention. Though it sounds like a great idea to give parents the option of having your kids go to a better school, the better school may not actually be better. It is typically...
It's just a different school.
It is typically funded or maintained by a religious organization almost, I think, like 80% of the time. Maybe higher in Texas. And with that, your tax dollars, because you're getting money, the money that would go from your tax payments into the school, into the public school, then go to a private religious institution. where they will proselytize, they will adjust the message. They are not required to uphold the same educational standards as the public education system. They're simply not.
So they're shooting themselves in the foot, at least entirely by...
At least entirely.
At least entirely, everyone receiving the same basic education.
Oh yeah, they're not. They're simply not getting the same basic education at all. Now it goes further than that, because it's also the government shooting itself in the foot financially, because the schools have to stay open based on demographics. So even if the seats are empty, the school has to still be there. And we had an interesting situation in Osceola County here in Florida. A voucher school, a private academy, shuttered its doors because it was under scrutiny for not maintaining proper records, all sorts of things. They shuttered their doors mid-school year because they are under no obligation to keep going through the normal school year. So they just quit. They got their money at a certain time, and then they cut and run, leaving the kids without a school. So then the school board has to then figure out what to do with, I think it was like 300 kids. Yeah. In the middle of a semester.
And they didn't get money for them.
Semester, when they weren't being taught what they were supposed to be taught in the first place. So now you have kids that are left behind. All of those test scores are then going to affect the school that is going to be absorbing them, which is then going to hurt that school. Mm-hmm. And then it gets worse and worse and worse from there. And that happens all over the country.
And that's on top of, you just ripped all that money out of public education to feed this private school.
Right.
So now public education is hurt because they didn't get that money, and double that problem because they still had to teach the kids at the end of the day.
Right. I would stand up and applaud if all of the private schools were shuttered, simply because they hurt the overall populace in that way.
I think that they should be held to exactly the same standards as the public schools. And that they should be required to pass all the same testing and red tape.
I would say that no, you must exceed it. You must not meet it. You must exceed it.
It's a better product, so they claim.
Better product. You have to have a better product, or you can't do it.
I went to private school for one whole year. I didn't like it personally, but my brother graduated from it, and the particular private school he went to was very good. It was I wouldn't say religiously based, but it was Episcopalian. Like, we were required to go to chapel once a week on Wednesday. Didn't matter what you were, but you were required to go to chapel. But that was pretty much the extent of it. Like, other than that, but the particular school, I'm not going to name names just in case.
Yeah. We don't want any defamation lawsuits, but we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But my brother did end up with a decent enough education that college was actually easier by comparison. That's what you should be doing.
It can certainly be more rigorous in certain areas. And really, you're going to have just a different class of teacher as well. Yeah. Typically in the private schools, you have less headcount, so there's more individual time. There's a lot of reasons why the private schools do succeed. And I don't want to say that all of them are bad. I don't.
No.
However, all in all, take everything into account, and those teachers, if you shuttered the doors to the private schools, those teachers would still need a job, and those good teachers would then be handling those kids and everybody else in the public schools, because the public schools would swell and they would need more teachers to fill those roles. So if you can't deliver a better product overall and get America into a position where our children are able to captain industry and lead this, nationality, rah, 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 to lead this country back into greatness again, then you shouldn't be doing it. So there you go. If you want to make the public schools better, get rid of the private schools. I know it's weird. It sounds weird.
Crazy.
But if you follow the money, you'll see that there's merit to that. There really is. Up in Canada, they have both religious schools and state-run schools, and they're both funded by the government. And there are areas of the country where they're not going to be in the same area. You're only going to have the religious school, or you're only going to have the secular school. Both of them are still funded by the government, and they both do have to maintain that education level. But in one, yes, you're going to be proselytized to. However, since it is government run, you can sit down. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
So there are pluses and minuses, but regardless, at the end of the day, in these educational institutions that are run and maintained by religious organizations, they are getting the money, and whether or not that money is actually going to support your student is questionable in big ways. Like even the bus drivers that they use don't even have to be don't have to have the same compliance that a state-run school bus driver would have to. I mean, it's at every level, So
Anyway.
With that, now we're going to talk about defamation lawsuits, because I know that you really wanted to hear it. There's a lot of people out on the internet, in the world at large, that we would like to be able to call charlatans. People that are faith healers, for instance. We have problems with faith healers because essentially they're hawking placebos to cure you. The belief that you will get better. There's no actual science to it. To call yourself a healer, I can call myself a Jedi. That doesn't mean that I have a special relationship with the Force and can wield a lightsaber. You need training for that. So, yeah, I know. But in this particular story, a blogger by the name of Stephanie Guttermson.
What?
Guttormson. Guttormson. That works. I know that she's probably said it on her blogs, but I can't be bothered to go back and remember that. She's a managing director with the Richard Dawkins Foundation, and she has taken it upon herself in her Think Skeptically, Think Steftically, a little play on her name, video series on YouTube, to basically take to task a particular faith healer named Adam Miller. And with some of these videos, well, she got Adam's attention in a big way. And he was replying to her with more YouTube videos, all of which are available if you follow the links. You can follow the whole sordid saga. He's decided that he needs to sue her for defamation of character. Essentially, defamation of character. I'm not sure. We're not even sure what the entirety of the lawsuits are, because that's closed books for right now. That will come to light. What do you guys think about this?
I think he's going to lose. And I hope that she countersues for everything he's worth and more.
Well, that's going to take some money.
It's going to take some money, but her legal fees will be covered by him if he loses the suit.
I feel very bad for the people that are suckered in by him, because now their hard-earned money that they have given in good faith to this man for, in theory, healing them, is now going to go to legal fees so that he can continue to defraud people. Now, he may be the kind of person that is so blinded by his own belief that he can do it, that he truly does believe. And that may be the case. But unfortunately, science works. So we can go back through, we can look at all the statements that have been made, because, well, they're rather public on the YouTube videos. And we can go through and we can iron out. And it's like, nope, she said this, this. You know, her case is very strong against him.
Yeah, because it looks like her case, he basically makes up science, like literal dark cell structure.
Oh yeah. Some of his ideas are.
So she's
the stuff of.
All she was doing is literally using the same logic that he did to go, "You're full of crap. And I don't like what you said, so I'm going to sue you." That's exactly what just happened. And
the only question I have about
silly.
this guy. Only question I have about this guy is, where was he during the Ebola crisis in Africa?
Right?
Well, she actually does take him to task and some of his supporters as to, so how about those how about regrowing limbs? Can you do that? You know, can faith healing bring back a severed limb?
Can faith healing make the paralyzed man walk?
Yeah, can it do that? To quote her, Adam Miller is a charlatan. He's a swindler. He's a snake oil salesman. You risk your lives delaying or foregoing proper medical treatment by going to him for help, and more importantly, for believing his unsubstantiated claims. That is basically the line that he is suing her over.
There are like, I can't even. My girl can't even right now.
Well, you know, she can probably prove all of that.
Yeah, she can. Another quote: "Sometimes we want answers so badly, we want to help so badly, that we'll believe just about anything, usually out of fear and hopelessness and desperation." Those are the people that get suckered in.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the very last day I ever went into church. And what occurred that made me walk out and never go back again was they brought in a guest speaker who talked about getting off of the earth curse system of income.
I'm sorry. The
what?
Earth
curse
system of income. You need to be on the what was it? Not faith, but like blessing system, and let the blessings of God fill your financial coffers, essentially.
Well, you put the.
By the way, he was selling a book and a CD.
You put the money into the church or into his pockets, and you receive blessings in return.
Yes, and he came with all kinds of Bible verses supporting this, and also had, you know, tons of anecdotal stories of, oh, this person was hard and down and out, and somebody wrote them a check for $20,000, and it was the Lord working through them. Like, I just really feel the need to give you this check. I'm looking around me and I see heads nodding, and I'm just like, people are buying into this.
Yeah.
Like,
and they will absolutely willingly do that.
I lost the ability to can.
We got to get a lot of that around.
I just had to leave.
Mr. Miller posted a video in response to Stephanie announcing that he would take legal action for copyright and other violations. According to the faith healer, Guttersman mutilated and molested his original video, which he says was a very holy work. Miller's video also repeatedly suggested that Stephanie could not be trusted because she was transgender.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's The only defining factor between somebody who's telling the truth and someone who's not is what sexuality they are.
Oh, they actually...
or no, their gender representation. Remember, gender and sexuality are two different things.
Right. And he and his devout followers, I suppose, you know, the ones that would give testimonials, they attacked her in the videos, quoting, "She never once states herself what she is or who she is," a woman in the video notes. Another quote, "She's not actually showing anything for the community either by saying, you know, she was a guy." A second woman agrees. "She's not really being who she is, you know? She's lying about that." Stephanie actually answered that by saying, well, if they went back to the very first video where I introduced myself as a transgender, as an atheist, as all these things, then they would know. So that's all timestamped, that's all there. And that's just sloppiness on their part.
It's all, what it is sophistry, which is they cannot attack the logic or the evidence that she presents, so they attack her personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolute, yeah. I can find nothing wrong with that. Now, as a
or the logical fallacy argument of ad hominem attack.
There it is. Yes. So, if you think that fighting for reason against those that would defraud and con people that are in serious need, people that are hurting, people that need to feel better, if you think that fighting those people is a good idea, then I suggest that you go over to the GoFundMe page for Stephanie and contribute some to her legal fund. So that link is going to be in the show notes. It is gofundme.com/SRG Legal Fund, all one word. Chip in a couple bucks. It'll help a lot.
Yeah.
And right now she does have $12,820, but legal fee, that's like a few days with this kind of thing. So it's going to go a long way. And if I know anybody that works with the Richard Dawkins Foundation, even if there is money left over, that's going to go to a good cause. It's going to be transparent. So, and that was just the bad. So now, the ugly. We're going to cruise over to Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is an absolute mess. Did you know how much of a mess it is? It's kind of funny.
I lived there.
Sad.
You have no idea.
You lived it.
I don't even want to drive there. That's how much of a mess DC is.
I lived just outside of DC, and I worked in DC back in 2002, 2003. I saw the No Blood for Oil marches live and in person.
Fantastic. Well, a little history lesson on the District of Columbia. It wasn't until 1973 when the federal government permitted the District of Columbia to vote for its own mayor and city council. Let's see, some other facts. I mean, it's odd.
It's an odd place.
It has, let's see, the population
it's like a
alone.
city-state.
It is
an Italian city-state.
But it doesn't have any power whatsoever. It really has no power.
Like Puerto Rico.
Less than Puerto Rico. I know that may sound like it's a stretch.
It's impressive. I think though what it amounts to is they never intended for DC to be a large town.
Right. Though its population is greater than that of either Vermont or Wyoming, Washington, D.C., whose population is about 50% black, has limited presidential voting rights, no vote in Congress, and the inability to raise local revenues or pass local laws without congressional permission. And for over a decade, for example, the U.S. Congress has made it a federal crime for the District of Columbia government to spend locally raised tax dollars for HIV prevention programs. Today, the district has one of the highest HIV rates in the nation.
Crazy.
Yep. I slept with no one.
Yeah. In July, for example, Senator Rand Paul inserted an amendment into the Bipartisan Sportsmen's Act that would have mostly nullified gun control policies in District of Columbia with carve-outs for federal buildings like the Capitol. If Paul had his way, the U.S. government would have had the following impacts on D.C. laws: repeal registration requirements, end the ban on semi-automatic rifles and high-capacity magazines, expand the right to carry guns outside the home, and protect the right to carry guns on federal land in D.C. and elsewhere in the country. In essence, the bill would eliminate the district's local gun laws, leaving only federal firearms laws to regulate gun ownership and the use in the city.
Because what could go wrong?
Oh, I think we could probably find a few things that could go.
Like this.
Yeah. So with I give you that history to give you a look into the cesspool that our capital actually sits in. It's an interesting little petri dish, if you will, that hates itself for existing.
That's
About right.
Yeah.
And if you ever have to drive there when it's raining, you will hate it for existing too.
I just hate driving there, period. Whoever's idea it was to cut the city into quadrants needs to be dug up, shot, and then reburied.
just shoot the corpses.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's a grid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's navigable, but you have to understand the grid. Once you understand the grid, which I lived there for 2 years, and I came to understand the grid because you have to understand the grid if you're going to drive.
Yeah.
But when I went through DC the first time, I had Rand McNally maps and MapQuest directions.
Oh
dear. How did you? Oh my.
Let me tell you, I did not have a good time.
No, because there's 3 different C streets, Constitution Street, and none of them run into each other.
They would go down one-way streets the wrong way, and I'm like, this is not a doable thing.
The things that are not happening.
None of these directions are happening, so let's drive around until we find something useful. Hey, look, there's the Washington Monument again. That will your first time driving in DC, you will experience the Washington Monument over
and over. Yeah.
And over.
They do call it the Beltway for a reason. Okay.
Oh, that's not even on the Beltway. That's actually in DC. You cannot leave. You get stuck in an endless time loop of always going past the Washington Monument until you finally take that one right that you've been missing for the past 45 minutes.
That's why there's so many people there. They can't leave.
They can't leave.
That's pretty accurate, I think. Yeah.
It's like Disney.
Well, yeah. Okay. So the District of Columbia Council, the only real governing body they have, tried to approve a reproductive health non-discrimination amendment. It was the Reproductive Health Non-Discrimination Amendment Act of 2014. So nicely named. Well, the House of Representatives this week voted in favor of House Joint Resolution 43, disapproving the action of the District of Columbia Council. So the council said, we don't want to discriminate on reproductive health. Everyone should have access to it. Our
House of Representatives disagrees.
Yes. Amazingly enough. So if
the layman's term of what this means is they want to keep it so that it's a fireable offense for women to use birth control pills or get in vitro fertilization.
But babies. I thought that's what they were all about. Babies.
It's not produced by.
Yeah, but those babies, they got to come fast and hard. We need them. We need all the babies, but we need them to be done normally.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily normally, but classically, as it were.
Classically, yeah. Classic.
Classically.
Let's just call it biblically.
Biblically, yeah. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to edge up on
classically.
it. I just wanted to edge up on it. You know, it's like
biblically.
Okay, biblically.
They're going. They have. There's a reason there's such a thing as missionary position. Because that's how deeply embedded they want to be in the bedroom.
I almost spit take there. I should make a note to never drink when you're speaking.
I'm just. It's funny, but it's true.
That's why I almost choked to death just then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So on Thursday, let's say that was on. Yeah. It carried on from there. Salon, went on to indicate what this was all about. The anti-abortion groups vow to keep firing women for using birth control, even though it's illegal. A number of anti-abortion groups have taken a defiant stand against a recent Washington, D.C. law that bans organizations from discriminating against employees on the basis of their reproductive health choices, and have reserved the right to fire women for using birth control or having abortions. In a joint statement released on Tuesday, members of half a dozen pro-life organizations declared their opposition to the Reproductive Health Non-Discrimination Amendment Act, which went into effect in the Capitol over the weekend. The law prohibits employment discrimination in compensation, terms, conditions, or privileges of employment on the basis of an employee's or dependent's reproductive health decision-making, including a decision to use or access a particular drug, device, or medical service. Advocates of the measure have touted it as a response to the Supreme Court's Hobby Lobby decision and as a way to extend additional protections to employees. Additional protections.
You're not protecting your employees. You're
literally
reserving the
doing
right
the
to
opposite.
fire them.
Well, they're going to protect their religious freedom.
Their religious freedom.
To discriminate.
The freedom to swing their religious fist ends where their employees' nose begins.
It really should. It really should. But I don't think it's the fist that they're wagging around, honestly. It's bigoted misogyny, really.
It is.
It's their swinging balls.
My first question was going to be, so are these same people going to be fired for using condoms?
Are they going to get a bonus for using Viagra?
Or
Viagra's covered.
Or a pump, because those are covered.
Yeah, those are all covered. Yeah. Men's reproductive health issues, yeah.
It's
important that you get a hard on.
If it involves men having the ability to have more sex, there has never been a religious institution which has come out against that as being something which is bad.
But here's the thing. Here is the thing that blows everyone's mind, and I know I'm just preaching to the choir here, but if the goal is basically to allow men to have more sex, wouldn't birth control allow that so you don't have to worry about children?
But that
would mean more sex.
They want
they want the children.
No, they want the children.
They want the idea of children. They don't actually want the children.
No, they don't.
The idea of children. Because they're very pro-life as long as the child isn't born yet.
Yep.
But as soon as the child is born, then we're not going to have VPK. We're not going to have SNAP. We're not going to have any food assistance programs whatsoever. You're on your own, kid.
They're pro-birth.
Shelters.
Yeah.
They're pro-birth is all it is.
And
because birth numbers look good.
How do birth numbers look good? To whom do they look good?
It means your country is prosperous. It means your area is prosperous. Birth numbers look good. It also means a higher population, which you can tax. It also means blah, 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 blah. Numbers look good. People like numbers. They don't like concepts.
Well,
are concepts.
You know what would help birth numbers? A wage where everyone can afford to pay for birth and kids.
Or universal paid maternity leave, so those babies are actually, alive at the end of 3 months.
Or health care for everybody, so that mothers actually get, medical checkups.
I like numbers too. I like numbers, and I like to crunch some numbers now and then to see patterns, and because our brains are geared for seeing patterns, even where there aren't patterns. But mostly these numbers add up. The reddest of the red states along the what is commonly referred to as the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
In those areas, you have the highest teen pregnancy rates, the
Which
highest,
they hate so much.
also the highest abortion rates,
Crazy.
Amazing.
also the highest porn usage.
And if you know,
The lowest income, lowest income,
income, and highest search for gay porn.
yeah, there is a bit of that.
Not lesbian porn, gay porn.
Well,
Dude, gay porn.
Well, they like the
Ash to ash.
lesbian porn is that's kosher. That's fine. That might as well have been blessed by the rabbi. It's kosher.
Yeah.
I know. No, I'm not talking about lesbian porn. I'm talking about gay porn.
I know.
Adam and Adam.
Yeah.
Well,
Adam and Steve.
it is well known that everybody on the right side of the fence is okay with gay marriage as long as both chicks are hot.
Yeah.
Actually, did you know the highest state with gay porn search rates?
Utah.
I thought it was Kentucky last time I checked.
I'm fairly certain that it was Utah. For
I could be. I'm okay with you.
I may be wrong too, but certainly Kentucky is definitely in the top 5.
Kentucky.
Well, there's so many things. So many things. It's
All right.
So, okay, here is my last kind of like brain hurty question I have.
okay.
So if I work for one of these employers, I don't even know who it is, but employers, if I work for one of these people,
Yeah.
I now get to go through the rigmarole of asking my doctor, my insurance company, which you have to do anyway, which, okay.
Yeah.
My boss, my manager, my dad, my brother, my whoever. I now get to ask an extended list of people of what goes on in my own skin, literally.
Yeah. You'll have
because
to fill out
you're
separate forms.
uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, you'll have to.
I wish these people understood how ridiculous and absurd that is.
Well, you're using that logic thing and the brain that's in your head. We can't. No, thinking is the devil's playground.
Wait, I thought that was idleness. Damn.
That too, but no. It's really the thinking. They don't want you to do any thinking. They want to do the thinking for you and just have you act.
If I shouldn't read, then I start getting ideas.
Yeah, no, that's not healthy for you.
Damn.
Yeah, that is not the. That's
So this is 2015, not 1915. I'm too delicate to read and think.
1915. No. No, that's still too progressive. No, you need to go back to 1815. Yeah,
Well, 1815, I could at least run a household with no one arguing with me. In 1915, I couldn't do shit.
Well, no, in 1915, you'd probably be okay as long as the polio didn't get you. I mean,
my ankles were covered, and so were my wrists, and so was my neck.
I think that was.
I asked my husband before I did anything, including
1800.
Well,
it didn't. It didn't get better, really. I mean, it was just as bad. At least if you were here in the United States. So yeah, we've
1815, I can run a household.
We've long since had to stick up our butts about such things. So,
it's weird when we're more prudish than England.
Yeah, and despite our prudishness, man, there's a lot of people in those right states with something other than sticks.
Yes,
butts.
That is true. All you have to do is just a quick search on the internet. But don't take my word for it. Go ahead and do it. That's fine. Add those statistics, would you?
You just offered them the red pill, Andy.
That's what I do. Please seek for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go out there.
Find out how far down the rabbit hole goes.
Find it
One
for you.
knuckle, two knuckles, three knuckles.
It's scary.
It keeps going.
Misa don't wanna know no more.
Yeah.
The
It's
Jar Jar says nope.
it's there's I don't know that there's too much more to say about that other than we need some sort of, we got to be able to pull DC out of the cesspool. But I would like it to be the 51st state. It has the population.
Ah.
I don't really understand why it can't be. I suppose I will have to do more research on that to figure out exactly why it is organized the way it is. But it wasn't designed to have as many people living right inside it like that. It was supposed to be a place where the government came to meet and then left. You know, maybe the president, sleeps there. That'd be about it. Everybody else needs to go. That kind of thing. But there are people that live, work, and play there. I don't think there's much playing going on anymore, but we do have some very nice museums.
That's phenomenal.
National areas, yes. But otherwise, it is. It's like Mos Eisley Spaceport. It's a hive of villainy.
You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
They were wrong because they could always go to Washington, D.C.
Actually, Southeast Detroit.
True. Actually, I'm not sure which one's worse because some parts of DC,
they're different flavors.
Indistinguishable. There's just the one monument in the background.
They're different flavors.
So there's a giant penis and a giant boob. The only two things of human anatomy that they care about.
Well, yeah. It is rather foul.
Remember, y'all, nipples are obscene if they're on women.
But they're completely superfluous if they're on men.
Exactly.
Let's talk about why Adam and Eve have belly buttons. Let's talk about that, shall we? No, we shouldn't.
No.
Cognitive dissonance. Okay. I think that's going to really do it.
I think I need an adult.
Please point to the doll and tell me where the internet hurt you.
I'll just throw it.
Nice.
Throw it against the wall.
It hurt me there.
Unless, you know what? Viewers, listeners, please chime in. Tell us what we can do about Washington, D.C. Not the people that live there, not the government seat itself, but about the city-state government that it is. How can we fix that? I would really like to know because they're in a world of hurt. They're under the thumb of an organization that doesn't care about the rest of the country, much less them.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not good for the citizens. So please, that's your call to action. Please go out there and figure out what we can do about Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. And we're into last gas, the plugs, the picks, our farewells, etc. As I said, my pick is the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project, and I will have those links in the show notes. David, what you got here? I see a random YouTube link.
You see a random YouTube vid. It is Gallagher's rant on the English language. If you've not seen it, it's worth a watch.
Oh, it's been a while.
If it's been a while, it's also worth a watch. Even if it hasn't been a while, it is worthy.
It's Gallagher.
It's Gallagher. He used to be a teacher.
Forgot about that. Yeah. Is this the one where he draws the United States with in the same skit, he draws the United States with like condiments?
I don't know. Well, it's not part of this video that I have linked.
Oh, I love everything Gallagher's done. So
this one is definitely this is the Comb, C-O-M-E? No, C-O-M-B.
Yes, that's right. Yes, the stupidity of the English language. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So go check that out, folks. Go check out Gallagher and all the old comics. I have to say that if you ever want to tell someone the truth, and a horrible truth at that, make them laugh or they will kill you.
It's a great quote.
Well,
Just what you got.
more comedy.
Sweet.
Yay! A lovely website called CW Seed has YouTubed every single episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway? All of them.
That is good.
From Drew Carey through Aisha Tyler. And it's glorious.
Now, did they?
So if you need more Wayne Brady and Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles in your life, head on over there.
Did they get the super early ones too?
It starts at season 1.
Love
They
it.
have over 200 episodes on there. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, I know there was a host before Drew.
Well, they have Drew and Aisha.
Okay, so they don't have the British version.
No, this is the American version.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still good because they
Yes.
brought over Colin.
They have Colin Mockery and they have Cedric the Entertainer, and you put the two of those guys together, and it's
Wayne Brady.
Yeah, Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady.
Yeah, Wayne
When
Brady.
was Cedric the Entertainer on there?
I don't think he was.
I thought he was on there before he was Cedric the Entertainer.
Not that I remember, but again, I could. Wayne Brady. That's what
I know Wayne Brady was in there. Yeah.
See.
Mhm.
Oh,
And if you need a suggestion,
yes.
watch the one that Richard Simmons was on. It is the best.
Oh, I did see that one.
Yes.
Oh, I'm having flashbacks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm going to
Human.
be doing after the show. Other than editing,
I need a distraction from all this horrendousness.
yes. So it's excellent to go out on a high note like that. David, is there? Oh, the high notes. Huh. I see what you did there. Just walked right into that one, didn't I? So, David, do you have any personal plugs? Anything that you wanna plug? How's that meme time news going? I'm going
I
to say
cannot
that's a no.
brain.
Okay.
I can't brain after the week that I've had.
Oh yes.
It's-
That is right. You have started a new gig.
I started a new gig.
All
and
bets are off now.
It's gonna take me some time before I can free up the cycles needed to get back into the meme time news swing of things. But I do have templates and some stuff that I did get to before people opened up my skull and started pouring information until it was coming out of my ears, eyes, nose, and mouth.
Giggity?
Possibly. Wow. Okay. Well, good. So we will keep an eye out for you on that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, okay, that's it. We'll be back next Friday about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, the conversation continues on the web. Head over to orlyrradio.com. That's ORlyrradio.com for all the links. We got them right up there at the top of the page. And do watch us live and chat in the IRC if you can. I've been looking out there. I don't see anybody. So maybe I just have to refresh my program. Who knows? Okay. If you've liked what we've done here tonight, you can help the show. You can help keep the lights on by contributing financially. Follow the Help Us link on the page or go straight over to patreon.com/Cowen. That's patreon.com/Cowen, COWEN. And hey, if you can't contribute money, I completely understand. But you can contribute with intellectual property. You can give us show ideas. You can send us corrections, advertising offers, open to that. Unclaimed lottery tickets, hate mail, that's fine. Unsolicited advice, whatever you want. Go ahead and email those over to us at orlyradiopodcast@gmail.com. And hey, leave us a voicemail, 470-222-ORly, ORLY, or 6759. And we have a subreddit too. So you could post show topics and other people could vote them up and vote them down. That would be fantastic. That would be a really great audience participation that no one's doing. And, hey, where did you find us? Go back there and leave us a review. Leave us a favorable review, I should say, on whatever platform you found us on. And of course, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Tumblr, circle us on Google+, validate us in life, and subscribe to the YouTube channel too. Music for the show was created by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. And hey, we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us this evening. This has been ORly Radio, part of the Cowen Services Network. Bye-bye.
You're the man now, dog.
Whatever that means.
It's why